Mr. Evans to call the roll of the board members.
Mr. Clark.
Here.
Mr. Courtney.
Here.
Mr. Desmond.
Here.
Mr. Eisenbacher.
Here.
Mr. Kaltsunas.
Here.
Mr. Lambert.
Here.
Mr. Sanzika.
Here.
Well, welcome everyone. We do have a full board tonight to conduct our business. And at this time, I'd like to introduce the board to those who are watching at home and also the public that is in attendance. To my far left is Mr. Lambert. To his right is Vice Chairman Eisenbacher. To my left is Mr. Sanzika, who is also the Planning Commission liaison. To my right here is Mr. Desmond, and to his right is Mr. Kaltsunas, who is also an alternate to this board, and he'll be sitting on as a full board member here tonight. And to his right is Mr. Courtney, and to his right is Mr. Evans, who is the Troy City Manager's liaison to this board. And to his right is Ms. Dufresne, who is the Assistant City Attorney for the City of Troy, and she'll serve here tonight as our board's legal advisor. So we do have some business to conduct here tonight. Item number 2, and I'm sorry, I'm Glenn Clark, I'm the chairman of the board. Item number 2 is approval of the minutes related to the October 20th, 2015 meeting. Are there any questions from board members or comments regarding those minutes that were presented to you?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Sanzika would like to make a motion stating what?
Approve the minutes.
Okay, for approval of the minutes. Is there a second? Mr. Courtney, is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, Mr. Evans, we're prepared to vote.
Mr. Courtney.
Yes.
Mr. Desmond.
Yes.
Mr. Eisenbacher.
Yes.
Mr. Kaltsunas.
Yes.
Mr. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. Sanzika.
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Yes, so that motion is approved. And then now what I'd like to do is call on Mr. Eisenbacher, who is our vice chairman of this board, to talk briefly and present the rules and procedures of the board for conducting our business here tonight.
The Zoning Board of Appeals is a group of 7 of your neighbors appointed by the Troy City Council to decide on requests or variances and other matters that are brought before them. A variance is a relaxation of the literal provisions of the zoning ordinance. Petitioners must indicate a hardship or practical difficulty with the land that would warrant the granting of the variance. Procedure. The board will hear the items in the order that they appear on the agenda. When an item is called, the chairman will verify that the petitioner is present. Then the city administration will summarize the facts of the case. The petitioner will be given an opportunity to address the board to explain the justification for the action requested. After the petitioner makes their presentation and answers any questions that the board may have, the chairman will open the public hearing. Any person wishing to speak on the request should raise their hand and, when recognized by the chairman, come to the podium and sign in on the sheet provided. The speaker should identify themselves with name and address, indicate their relationship to the property in question, for example, next door neighbor, live behind the property, etc., and state whether they are in favor of or against the variance request and give reasons for their opinion. Comments must be directed through the chairman. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and closely pertain to the matter under consideration. Only one person will be recognized by the chairman to speak at one time. At the conclusion of public comments, the chairman will close the public hearing. Once the public hearing is closed, no other public comments will be taken unless in response to a specific question by a member of the board. The board will then take a motion to approve, deny, or postpone the request. In order for the request to pass, a minimum of 4 votes are needed. If the request is not granted, the applicant has the right to appeal the board's decision to the Oakland County Circuit Court.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Eisenbacher. We now move on to the approval of the agenda, which is item number 3. Are there any questions or comments by a member of the board related to the agenda as presented? Seeing none, the agenda that was printed will be our agenda for tonight's business. Item number 4, we're going to be addressing a variance request related to Anthony Strussian, hopefully Strocioni. I apologize for my lack of Italian. Okay, even though I grew up in an Italian neighborhood, regarding 1834 Kirkton, and I'd like to call on Mr. Evans to present to the board this information.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As printed in the agenda, this is a variance request for 1834 Kirkton in order to construct a detached garage of 5-foot variance to the requirement that the garage be set back at least 10 feet from the house. I'd like to direct everyone's attention to the big screen behind and to the left and the right of the board where I put a map up of the neighborhood, and the subject property is circled right in the middle. This is a single-family residence that's located in neighborhood north of East Maple and east of Livernois. And in the middle of this aerial that I've zoomed in, the subject property 1834 is outlined in red, and it is surrounded also by single-family residences. Now, this is the same aerial, and I've overlaid the zoning district classification in yellow. The subject property and all the surrounding properties are zoned single-family residential. And that's even a closer aerial. And there used to be a garage where that yellow outline is. Right now, the slab's still there. And what happened, this picture was taken some years ago and provided by the applicant. To the left of the house is an older garage. I would estimate at least 30 years old, maybe more. Very old garage that has been deconstructed. So this is a recent picture of the property with the garage missing. It's been taken down. And the applicant's provided in the upper left-hand corner of this picture, the existing foundation was retained. And in the middle of this, that's also a picture of the existing foundation. Now, in order to reconstruct the garage, and this is what they want to do, put up a garage similar in size and architecture to what the house is now, similar in size to what was there before, about 20 by 20. This is their site plan, and the garage, if it's allowed to be built on the existing slab, would be 5 feet away from the principal building, the house. The zoning ordinance requires that it be 10 feet back. So in order to construct that garage, he is here to request a 5-foot setback variance. I'll turn it back over to the board for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Are there any questions or comments from a member of the board? Okay, we're going to move on to calling the applicant forward, and if you can come to the podium, please, and identify yourself and in relationship to the property.
Anthony Stricioni, property owner.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to present to the board related to your request for a variance?
I'm requesting that the reconstruction of a new garage with the existing footing.
Okay. And I'd like to ask any member of the board, if you have a question for the petitioner. Now, please identify yourself.
I do have a
Mr.
question. I'm noticing the two properties immediately north, 1854 and 1870, they look like they have structures beyond this setback as well. Are those garages in those properties that you're aware of?
On the, see, would be the left side, would be, the one on the left side would facing the houses would be north.
Yeah, 1854 and 1870.
Yeah, 1854. That's, there is a garage there. That's, yeah, it's Dominic's home. There is a garage there, yeah, there is. And it would be pretty much in line with the garage I want to construct.
Any other member of the board? Mr. Lambert.
Thank you. Mr. Stricioni, when I drove by the house, one of the things that became apparent to me that doesn't really show up in either your description or the information the city provided us is it looks like the land behind where the garage used to be is sloped below. It looked almost like it was maybe 6 inches to a foot lower than that. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? Is that kind of a good
The neighbor brought his lot up a good 6 inches.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Any other member of the board? I have a question. In your documentation that you presented to us, your reasons, rationale for a variance request. You do mention about water collecting in the back there. To go further on Mr. Lambert's question, so would you consider that be a, is there flooding issues at times?
Depending on the season, if it's a really wet season, the water will stand there for, a couple of days.
Okay,
There's a sump pump there, it goes off
good.
every minute.
Often when it's raining,
When
right?
it's a wet season. The dry season doesn't go off at all.
Right. Okay, thank you. So at this time, I'm going to ask you to have a seat, and we're going to open the public hearing. So if you can, unless you have something else to present to us.
No, I think that's pretty much.
Okay, great, thank you. So this time, I'm going to open the public hearing and ask anyone who'd like to present to the board or comment on this variance request to come to the podium. Seeing that there isn't anyone, I'm going to close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for discussion or possible action. Does anyone have a motion to make or comment or question for staff? Mr. Lambert.
Yeah, I was going to mention, before I did the site visit, I was inclined to not vote in favor of the variance because I didn't see any real hardship involved with the property. But then when I drove by and saw the slope of the land behind the foundation and saw that if we required the applicant to abide by the literal provisions of the ordinance, it would require more fill dirt to be brought in and could have an adverse effect on existing green space and possibly create more flooding issues for neighbors. So I'm going to move that we approve the variance based upon the fact that the property, the change will not impact the adjoining neighbors of the neighborhood and that it will help preserve some of the natural features of the property.
I'll second.
Mr. Desmond, second. So the Lambert-Desmond motion for approval has been made. Are there any comments for discussion on that motion from a member of the board? Mr. Vice Chairman Eisenbacher.
I'd just point out that had the garage never been taken down, I don't think you'd need to come before us because it would have just been a renovation of something that was grandfathered.
Depending on the amount, yes. If you do remove a structure exclusive of its foundation, and this is for a grandfathered structure, more than 60% of its replacement value, the code does require you to put it in a spot that complies.
Okay, so it'd be a 3-year construction project otherwise.
We hope it will never get to that point.
Yeah.
Mr. Courtney.
Yes, if that were a connected garage, how far away would it have to be?
It would have to be as far from the side and rear lot lines as it would be considered part of the house. And I didn't research that in advance of.
Probably be okay, though, where it's at. Well,
I didn't check the setback requirements for non-accessory structures prior to this meeting, but I can find out if you'd like.
okay. Not important, I don't think.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Evans, I believe we're prepared for a vote.
Okay, and this is a vote to grant. Mr. Eisenbacher?
Yes.
Mr. Kaltsunis?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. Sanzika?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Courtney?
Yes.
Mr. Desmond?
Yes.
Congratulations, you have your variance.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Item number 5 are communications. Are there any communications that Mr. Evans would like to share with the board?
No.
Okay. We're going to move on to item number 6, which is miscellaneous business. There is a proposed zoning board of appeals.
Happy holiday.
I'm sorry?
Happy holiday.
Thank you very much. Have a very good night. There's a proposed meeting dates for the 2016. Are there any questions from a member of the board or a comment about what was proposed? So, Mr. Evans, I understand if we don't have to take any action, if there's not an issue, then this will just be administratively
Right.
approved,
Right.
correct?
Yeah, these are the same dates that our rules of procedure call for.
Great. Oh,
Okay.
Okay,
appears to be resolved.
excellent. Item number 7 is public comment, and we can allow any member of the public to comment at this time, or even if a member of the board has a comment, you can share it at this point in time. Wow, this could be the fastest board meeting we've ever had. I'm trying to drag my feet just a little bit. So seeing that we don't have any other public comment, we will be adjourned here in a second. Just been a pleasure working with you all, including city staff, my colleagues on the board, and even the alternates who were able to serve on the board occasionally.
Thank you.
And also just wish you, everyone have a blessed Christmas or blessed Hanukkah or whatever you're celebrating this particular year. And we are adjourned to 2016. Have a good night.